Hello. Good evening, everyone. Who's joining us first today? Hello. Yay. Hello, Theophilus. Good evening. How are you? I hope you're good. Hi, Julie. Hello, darling. Good evening. It's been a while. Hi, Ireti. Good evening. How are you? Thank you for joining. Hello, Paul. Thank you for joining and sharing, Paul. What an upstarter. Thank you. Pastor Edwin, good evening. Guys, let's follow Paul's lead and start to share immediately, please. Innocent, good evening. Hi, Chucks. Good evening. Good evening, Evans. How are you? Thank you all. Thank you for sharing. Please share, and also invite your friends. This is a book review, and it's not just a book review, it's always educational. So this is a good time for you to invite many people and also to share on your page so that you will be able to watch later. Hi, Fumi, good evening. Theophilus, good evening. Patrick, good evening. Oriyomi, good evening. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for joining. Molaja, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Please share, and invite your friends. Invite them individually. Chinwei, good evening. Thank you for joining. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. TD, good evening. Maison, good evening. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is a book review. I know that you've seen the title, The Danger of Monoculturalism. Your page so that you will be able to watch later. Okay, so please invite as many people as possible. I love book reviews because I learn so much, and I feel like I already have read the book, but the important thing is to also read the book and read it over and over again until you understand what's in it. This book would be available, it's already available, so you can start pre-ordering now on Amazon. So check Amazon out. You would see the book is cheaper if you pre-order. So if once you've seen the review, or while Dr. Sunday is reviewing this book, you can start to order immediately. Hi, Nikki. Good evening. It's on Amazon. And also, as you know, Dr. Sunday is on YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official. And also, he has a blog. His website is sundayadelajablog.com. So those are your wealth and platforms of information, platforms that you can get a wealth of information rather than wealth of information. Your platforms to get wealth of information. Hello, Uchechi. Good evening. Pastor Irene, good evening. How are you? Thank you for joining. Please share with as many people as possible. Nikki, good evening. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn the camera to Dr. Sunday in a minute. I just want to say hello and good evening to as many people as possible. So guys, let's start sharing so that others can start joining us. We have some people here already, but the more the merrier. Hi, Jane. Good evening. Thank you. So I'm going to turn the camera to Dr. Sunday now so he can start, because there's so much to this book and we don't want to miss out.
Hello, everybody. I hope you'll be able to see this. Is that high enough? Is that clear enough? Can you read it? The danger of monoculturalism. The danger of monoculturalism.
Yeah.
Monoculturalism. Have you ever heard of that? Are you familiar with that at all? Have you ever heard of that? Somebody said that is anthropology. Yes, And this anthropology came to my mind not because I studied anthropology in school. I actually was admitted to study anthropology one time. I didn't know that I would be writing textbooks for them soon. This actually came to my mind because of a discussion and a debate that I was involved with some Europeans who are here in my church and my country. For example, not just here in my country. For example, I arrived in Seattle, Washington one time to do a conference for my church there, for our church, for Embassy of God Church over there. And I was met rather respectably, you know, with honors at the airport, with the limousine, you know, the way Americans can do it, limousine and all that. But then, of course, as a black man, and all these churches that we have in America, all of them were white churches, you know, white Americans. And but these white Americans, most of them were people who came from Europe recently. Some of them are Russians, Ukrainians, like, you know, from Latvia and, you know, places like that, Baltic states and things. So, but they are all in the white dominant culture of America. They don't even mix with black people, maybe just in the shop where they, you know, when they need to. But most of the time they will be in their own white society, and it's like, I didn't know that it's possible in America still. I mean, their church was all white. I mean, I'm the senior pastor, but all these churches were still all white in America. And so that is where the conversation started. This was before Obama was elected, and people were saying Obama would never win. So I said, so we were discussing about that. Then they were telling me their opinion. And one of their opinions is that they feel abortion must be legal. They will have to get somebody who is like Trump so that they will make abortion legal. I said, why? He said, well, would they know that they are, the conservatives are against abortions, but they should make abortions legal only for black women. I said, what's the problem? Why that? So that they'll have less crimes and less problem in America, because they believe that anyway, most of the crimes and problems in the society are coming from from the black people anyway. So they should just make abortion legal for them. And then those ladies, all kind of things. The women are lazy, they only get pregnant and they live on the subsidy of the government, and you know, they don't work, you know, they just live on welfare and we have to pay for that. So all kind of talk like that. And I say, well, can you see that I'm a black myself? That I'm a black myself. I mean, can you notice that? They don't even notice it, that I'm a black. Because they say, oh no, you are different. What makes me different? Just because I'm successful? So that is one discussion like that. And then another discussion I had was in my house here. When, I mean, okay, can you believe it? I had another incident where I went to a Pentecostal church here in this country. And it was time to pray. So during the prayers, I noticed that this old man was just always gazing at me and praying and crying at the same time. So I said, wow, this was so passionate. But why is he gazing at me? I thought he was just passionate and praying and crying, but why looking at on my, you know, my side, to my side? So after the prayers finished, the man came to me and said, don't worry, you know, started patting me in the back and said, don't worry, it's okay. You know, God is good, it's okay, you know. Then I got a point. I will say, okay, yeah, it's okay, thank you. Yeah. But it got to a point they said, I hope you are not angry at God. I said, angry at God? For what? Did I do anything? I'm saying you for the first time, I've not even told you any of my problems to make you think that I should be angry at God. Then the man said, well, the reason I'm saying I hope you are not angry at God is because He created you black. Don't be angry at Him. He knows what He's doing. You know, we will understand one day. That don't worry, it's okay. Don't worry. You know, don't worry. Don't be angry at God. The question I have is that I was so surprised. I was looking at him and I said, well, what makes you think that is bad? Because of that, I should be angry at God? That He made me black? So that is the kind of concept some people have still in some part of the world. But not everywhere is so clear and so glaring like this. But still, there is this danger that is hidden in monoculturalism. And I would like to show you this photograph again and have you think about it. The danger of, I think it's an original cover. I think the cover is beautiful. Remember, you see there are two keywords there. The first word there is mono. The second is actually a compound word. Monoculture. Monoculturalism. Monoculture, what is a monoculture? And I'm talking about the danger of a monoculture, of monocultures. Okay, let me tell you the other side of the coin. For example, in my country, Nigeria, there are some people who believe that black people, there are no poor white people. That if you are white, then you are well off. You know the reason why they're thinking like that? Because they don't have enough whites. What does that tell us? The danger of monoculturalism. They now begin to have an exaggerated understanding of that is the opposite of the culture that they have not been seeing so frequently in their area. And because the only white people they see around are white people that are expatriates. They don't even know that these expatriates that they are looking at who are living well off in Africa are being paid by them, by their government, by the Nigerian, African government. And they are living off thanks to you and to your taxes and things. So, but that is one aspect of it. Another aspect of that is that an offshoot of thinking that black people, white men are not poor and they are well off, is that Africans now are risking their lives in the Mediterranean Ocean, sinking and dying in the thousands, trying to get to Europe. Because they are thinking everybody, the way they see white people live in Africa, that's exactly the way all white people live in Europe. And that if they could get there, they will be able to live just as well off and as ostentatiously as those people they are seeing there, that everybody in Europe is living in luxury. So that's another danger of monoculturalism. That's why when I go to Nigeria, I want to take as many people as possible with me. And from here alone, I'm taking 200 people. And from all over the world, I want to take about 2,000 people. I want to populate Nigeria with different cultures as well. It's because it's dangerous for a culture to just be exposed to their monoculture, to their own culture. And that's one of the problems that those people who are clamoring for separation in my country the Biafra, the Odudua group, or whatever they call themselves. That's what they don't understand, because if they succeed in breaking off, they will have a monoculture, but they don't know that it's going to be the beginning of another sorrow for them, because there is a whole big problem when you are having a society that is monocultured, monoculturalism. So this is a unique topic that you might think doesn't pertain to you, but if you're already living in Europe and even anywhere you're living in, by the time I examine this to the end, you will discover that this is a question that pertains to every one of us. Actually, if you look at the cover of that book again, you will see that in general terms, it is actually talking about the problems of stereotypes and prejudice. Yes, stereotypes and prejudices. Stereotypes and prejudices. And you know, one funny thing that I've discovered over the years is that most people, even the most prejudiced people, don't even know they are prejudiced. They are prejudiced. They don't realize it. And everybody will tell you, even the most racist will tell you, no, I'm not a racist. And I'm not prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced. I don't have stereotypes about other people. But that is not the shock that I got personally. The shock that I got for myself is that I also have my own prejudices. And every one of us. I've worked on my own, and I think that if I have any now, they'll be very minimal. But let me tell you what, all of us have some form of prejudice or the other. For example, if I tell all of you that are there watching me right now that this is a girl, a young girl, 22 years old, but she's blind, will you be willing to marry her? Or a man, a husband, potential husband, he's 32, he's doing well, but he's blind. Are you sure you are going to be willing to marry him? That's a kind of prejudice right there. Some people say that I would never have anything to do with former drug addicts, even if it's no more on the FAIR program or the other. That's talking about prejudice right there. Some people say they would never marry people of other races. Okay, for example, I was always looking at that as weird until I met Vietnamese people. That I found myself saying that, I cannot imagine myself marrying one of these. I'm sorry to have to say that, but just for illustration's sake. Because they were all too small for me, you know, they were all looking and they have funny eyes. Because I was not used to seeing those kind of people where I'm coming from. Prejudice. And I'm the same person who said, people discriminate against me and against us, against people who look like me, and here I come. Besides that, let me tell you another of my prejudice that I needed to fight against. I'm sorry, but somehow I find myself advising my church members against going out with Arab boys, you know. I'm sorry for that, but I have to face my own prejudice. I don't know what you think of a potential husband that will coming from that side of the country, of our world. All of us discover our own prejudice when we begin to really hit the road. But if you're a Christian, I know your prejudice. It's most likely against the gay community. Even if you are calling them gay, that already talks about your prejudice, because a whole human being, maybe the person is a professional, maybe it's an engineer, maybe it's a doctor, maybe it's a father, maybe it's a son to somebody, maybe it's a qualified personality, a good guy. But just because you got to know about his sexual orientation, now it's no more all of those things. He's now just gay. And a lot of Christians, we have problems, we have issues. So, you know, it's one thing when we're all philosophizing and talking about how these things are bad, how these things happen. But when the buck reaches your own door and you need to look yourself in the mirror and discover that you might be having your own prejudice, that's when it's really very humbling. So let me talk about some of the content of this book. And in fact, I would like to see what people are saying about this, because this is like saying I'm coming from another world altogether. Who writes about that? Who's a pastor that even thinks about these things? Well, what kind of topics is Pastor Sunday even talking about? I mean, where is it? What's wrong with this guy? Why can't he get some biblical topics and just write some of these things that we know the blood of Jesus and righteousness and all that? What are these topics like monoculture? What? Some people have never even heard of monoculturalism. So what's Pastor Sunday doing? What's this all about? Well, let me give you some of the ideas of the topics in this book so you will get to know what this is all about. The first chapter here says, under the first chapter it says, all sorts of people have all of a sudden found their way here. I'm sure if you are living outside of your country, even in your country, especially if you are living in Europe, you should be familiar with a variation of this kind of statement, that all sorts of people now come to us. I know exactly what that is talking about. If you have lived in Europe as a person of color, you lived in Germany. I don't know if in the UK they still have that still. When it's happening against you, that's when you value this book. And when your children come from school and they come with some questions about how to answer some of these things, then you know that we all have to campaign against monoculturalism. And there is danger in monoculturalism. Let me give you another statement here from this book. No, not statement, statistics. In this book, I declare that monoculturalism will eventually lead to genocide if it's not stopped. And there are examples I have here, like the Armenian genocide. There is one thing they call the Armenian genocide. Then the apartheid in South Africa. That is the danger of monoculturalism. That's the result of monoculturalism. Then the Ku Klux Klan. You know, during the election of Trump, they had some campaigns saying, I think they said, America belongs to white people or something. Let all of us find their way out of here. You know, that is, you know, the danger of monoculturalism. Then you have the genocide in Rwanda. That is also coming from monoculturalism. Those are the things they lead to. So these are the things that I'm talking about. Then, here in the book, I made a point for multiculturalism as the picture of the future world. That the future of the world should be in multiculturalism, and that we should all gear up for it and welcome it. That we all should welcome multiculturalism. There is a book. Before I go on, I would like to ask you people, what do you think about this thing I'm talking about? I think I'm looking at Julia and I'm thinking she's probably thinking, what the, how did he even get there? What's your business in this, huh? Maybe not, but you might need to move closer to your girlfriend, your soul sister. What do you think about this topic?
So I actually really love this topic because I did not just grow up in Germany, but I also moved to Ireland. And as many of, or maybe you don't, but you may know that in Ireland recently homosexual or same-sex marriage was legalized. And also in Germany actually recently. And these are things where I as a Christian really am challenged or have been challenged, especially by my Christian community. So people were saying, oh my God, now you're living in a world of complete darkness and, you know, do your best to maybe get out of there and stuff like that. And I personally, I've had homosexual colleagues and I've had homosexual friends, and I still do. And I really felt guilty in one way as a Christian because, you know, you're being pressured to distance yourself from these types of people, in quotes. And within me, I felt very torn because I was thinking, what am I supposed to do? Because personally, I know these people, these are not bad people, and I like them, you know? So just because they're homosexual or they don't believe in God or they have other worldviews, I'm supposed to, you know, separate myself from them. And I didn't feel like this was the right thing to do, but at the same time, I would have Christian people, you know, encouraging me to distance myself. And for me personally, I took the decision.
So you had your own prejudices and stereotypes, or people, your environment, your culture.
I really had to struggle with that.
But I thought you were going to start with your own experience of living in a monoculture society.
Yes. I want to talk about that as well, because these are things that really affected me and affected the way I see people. Because inside of me, I always wanted to be, I'm a person, I like harmony, I like peace, I like, you know, everyone to be happy. And I don't like to, you know, cause strife and division and stuff like that. So to me, it never really mattered how I look like and everything until I got into an environment where people were focusing on these things. So I started to notice how I was discriminated at school just because I looked different. And one example would be that when we are in school and we are supposed to be dividing our class into teams when it comes to sports activities, I would be the last one to be picked because I looked differently, you know? So these kind of things, experiencing that, made me realize that, wow, there is really a problem here, but I never was able to put a finger on it, and this is just the way I grew up. But I see how dangerous it is because you don't have to react the way I reacted. You know, many people that I know who have been discriminated against have cultivated attitudes of anger, of hate against, you know, let's say, for example, in Germany, against Germans.
The host nation.
Yes, against the host nation. So you would have Arabs or Africans talking really badly about Germans and saying, in general, Germans are very racist people and, you know, don't stay there if you want to make something.
In England, the same thing. Yeah, I've never heard a kind of complaint like in England against white British people.
Yeah. I mean, there's evidence
like
of it,
that.
obviously, because we have experienced them. But, you know, these are issues that we should deal with, and not making sure that you just abandon an entire society or a group of people because of their skin color, because of the way they look like. So it's just what we have learned, you know, to expose the evil and not attack the individuals, because it's all a matter of environment. It's the place that you grow up with in, and it's the things that you hear. I could have become someone who's angry as well against every type of white person, and I've had that period as well. I've had a period where I was saying to myself, oh, I'm never going to marry a white person, or I'm never going to have a best friend as a white person, all of these kind of things. But for some reason, God made sure that my close environment and the people I call friends are actually mostly white people, You know, so this encouraged me to be more open towards other societies and other cultural groups, but it's not an easy thing. It's not something that I feel like society is made up in a way to separate us, you know, to make sure that things you see on TV are somehow against you if you're a minority, and then we
So
also
you value this book then?
Oh yeah, totally. I just said to myself, I have to go and buy it immediately because this is speaking to me so much as someone who just like Good News. Yeah, that was her name, right? The girl, yeah, that we spoke about last time. Just like her, Good News Ebong. She, just like her, in my class, I was the only black person too. So I have gone through all of this and I have experienced all of this. And for me, I had to experience it in quietness because I was by myself. And in my own family, we've experienced it. And the overall, growing up, the overall image was that, you know, white people generally are racist or are bad. And, you know, don't get too close to them and all of that. And you see it even, I saw it in black people that most black people would not even learn the language to an extent that there wouldn't be a difference between an African-speaking German and a German-speaking German, you know, because they're like, oh no, I'm not going to learn this language, and you know, because of these people, or the way we talk about them in general. It's just very discouraging, and it cultivates this monoculture. We do it unconsciously, and I think that's a very dangerous thing, especially because it is unconscious. So, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I grew up, I grew up with maybe both sides of the coin, if you would. I know white people to be like loved by black people until maybe when I moved to England as a child, and then I realized that there is so much kind of hatred between white and blacks. But in Nigeria, it's just like white people are great, we love white people, and you know, everything was fine. There was no difference. Then when I moved to England, I didn't actually know until one day, I was probably about 11 years old. I went to an army cadet, and on my way back, a group of white boys, most people in England will probably know, it's
skinheads.
Yeah, they're not skinhead, they're young, they're still young, they're probably teenagers.
Yeah, but they have people like that too.
Yeah, in Bermondsey, yes. And they were calling me Coca-Cola, and I didn't really say anything. I just kept on going, and one of them spat at me from the back. So I was just so shocked. That was the first conscious moment for me that there was a difference, and you know, black people were not liked. That was my first initial. And then when I got home, then I told my mom and said, I don't want this jacket anymore. You know, somebody has spat at it. I don't want to wear it anymore. And my mom was like, what happened? So I said everything, and she was like, yeah, you know, we're in a different country and now, and this is how it is. And I said, no, it's not how it is. You know, that's not how it is. I think probably that.
But this book, though, is to change the majority.
Yeah.
Is the danger of monoculturalism.
Yes.
So I'm writing actually to the majority group.
Mm-hmm. Not to feel hurt by anything.
No, the opposite.
Yeah, not to take it personal, not to think that you know, you have to be black or white. What happened to me could have changed me.
To relate with consideration, to people who are different from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I think this book would have been helpful to somebody the person that spat at me. You know, I understand that. But I'm just saying that this is the things, how it crept up at us from very young age. So when somebody, if you're parents, for example.
So that is how we also get our own prejudice.
Yes, okay. That's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. So that experience for me, you know, maybe it lasted for some time, I'm not quite sure, but I didn't feel like I hated white people as a whole. I just didn't like the situation, and I was conscious of myself. So I was looking into myself, that what was it that I did wrong, or what was it that, you know, was wrong about my skin color. My parents' environment, they don't really talk about, you know, being racist or anything. They don't. But I know that individuals that I know, family and friends, they have very strong.
Almost every group of talk, every discussion group.
They have very strong feelings, but it didn't affect me because, you know, when you go to school in England, you don't have a choice. Most of your friends will be of different colors. You know, I went to school where there's mix. I have black and then I have white friends. But I think my prejudice really started in church. And it started with not being unequally yoked. Going to Pentecostal church, there are more black people than white people. I think churches now, in terms of like Hillsongs and other multicultural kind of churches, they have mixed, and everybody mixed. But the church that I went to was mostly predominantly black people and Nigerian and one culture. So it's not, for me, even this book will not just, it's not just about color, it's also about little culture, you know, even black, even Nigerians culture. And Nigerians, they still say, oh, this person is Ijebu. I remember friends of mine wanted to marry somebody that's from Ilorin. I don't even know where Ilorin is. And the grandmother refused, point blank, that it can't happen. And these are two people that love each other. So this thing is really deeply ingrained in us, where, you know, it's a subtle way. First for me it was Muslim, and, you know, for some reason I bought into that. And then later...
Especially in England, I discovered that there are a lot of Yorubas, among Yorubas themselves.
Yes, yes.
Who might actually be in love, but then Yorubas are almost evenly split. 50% Muslim. So a lot of boys who want to marry the ladies, they might be Muslims. So the churches is a big fight.
Yeah, it's like a no, don't be unequally yoked. You know, even if they're friends, they you know, it's just so much mess. And I was really confused by that. I was really confused by the Muslim and the Christian thing, and, you know, what God was doing. Why would he say this? I had nobody to explain it to me, and I was really grieved by that. But there's so many other things.
So love flies out the window.
Yes, love. They don't want you to speak love.
I'm not talking about sexual love. I'm saying love.
Yeah, there's no love.
Tolerance love.
No, there's no tolerance. There's no tolerance. For me, with the gays and, you know, if you're a lesbian, that doesn't really matter, because for me, that's a private matter that you need to deal with yourself and God and your own feeling. So for me, I never really think about gays or...
Well, that's, you know, big in Christianity.
Yeah, it's big in Christianity.
Bigger than Muslim.
Yeah, my church, I think, is the church I used to go to is equally with gays and Muslim, is like big. So but I never agreed with that. I just thought that was wrong. I have really great friends that have different sexual orientation to me. And that's all I see is it, because they're very intelligent people. We have good conversation. They're good friends to me. So I cannot dismiss them. It's just impossible. The evidence there tells me they're even more useful to me and more friendly, of more value to me than people that don't have the sexual orientation. So I reasoned well in that area, but I couldn't reason in the Christian and Muslim way. And I've been told so many stories that it's just really messed me up. That it took me a long time, that to the point where I offend my Muslim friends without even knowing, and thinking that I'm being righteous and I'm being a good person and I'm being a good Christian. I really put them down. I, you know, say, and they keep quiet. They don't really say much, but you can tell that they're hurt. And also you're driving people away from you, people that, you know, you could be of value to each other. You mess up by going on about where they, you know, the religion that they're practicing. And it says to me also that, you know, you are belittling your own God, you know, by, you know, doing that, by kind of saying that you do somebody's culture is not good or this is not right. So I actually really want to read the book. I think I've already purchased it, because when I put it, when I saw that as the title, I really wanted to read it so that I can really change, because I must have offended people, especially the Muslim. The gays, I don't have a problem.
I like the way where this discussion is going, because we are not just talking about the discriminations against us and our ways of discrimination and how from other people. So we are not just discussing, we are being objective as much as possible, that we are also addressing our own discriminatory attitude and our own prejudice towards other people too. And so this is one of the things that this book is going to be talking about, because this book is talking also about the source that we should, you know, this, one of the assignments of this book is to help every one of us to examine ourselves and look into how we have come to be having our prejudices, and what is the origin of our own prejudice as well. You know, that attitude you had towards Muslim, it started from somewhere. So this is one of the things that the book is doing for you, to help you look into yourself. Why is it that you dislike a certain group of people? Why is it that you said that thing about Germans, and why is that coming from? It could be a reaction to the attitude that you had because of the way they behave towards you, But the reality is that it's two ways. You know, it's two ways. And but you cannot do much about other people, but you can do much about yourself.
Yes, I totally agree with this, especially because we really need to know what the danger is of being discriminatory, because this is really what it is. We are being discriminative against those who are not like us if we are, you know, the majority. And I have been struggling with this because I was asking, I wasn't taught how to deal with people who are different than me, especially when it comes to being a Christian and then dealing with someone who's either a Muslim or who is homosexual or something like that. So I haven't had the guidance to know how am I supposed to deal with this kind of person. Because to me, all I try to do personally is, you know, just accept the people for who they are, because at the end of the day, nobody is perfect, you know. Look at them as a human being that has been made by God, just like you. But I think we don't have that teaching in the church. We don't have it. We as Christians especially, we go to the church in order to be equipped to live, right? To live with people, to deal with people, to know what to do, how to raise our children, you know, how to live for God. What does it all mean? But when it comes to dealing with things that we are unfamiliar with, it's like we react somehow in a very egocentric way to self-preserve or something like that. But we didn't have the instruction. So I feel like this book is really going to help us to know what are we supposed to do with people who are not like us. What are we supposed to do in a society where we're in a minority? Or what are we supposed to do when we're in a society where we are in the majority? I personally I'm in need of this because I have been struggling with that very much.
Thank you. You know, as much as one of the discoveries that I learned when I came to Europe is that as much as the blacks are discriminated against, I never knew that there is another group of people that have even suffered more discrimination than the blacks. Do you know? Mm-hmm. Who are they? Indians? In America? Jews? I don't think so. You think Jews? Yeah. Jews? Indians. But Jews have become powerful. Mm-hmm. They are no more being discriminated against. I will tell you the group. There is a group of people that are even more discriminated against than I and you. They call them the gypsies.
Oh, yes.
I forgot it.
You don't even... You people don't even remember that?
Yeah.
The people treat them worse than us.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah. We call them travelers in England. They don't like that at all.
But what I've done in this book, I've also found stories of successful gypsies. And I included it in the book. Then it breaks the prejudice. And I'm going to show you some of the famous gypsies that we never even knew they were gypsies. Because when they are famous and successful, you say they are Germans. Mm-hmm. Or they are Englishmen. Mm-hmm. Or they are Americans. Or they are French people. So here I'm talking about the successful gypsies. Then another thing I'm talking about here is I have a whole chapter that is called They Just Got Off the Tree Yesterday. They just got off trees.
Monkeys.
The trees yesterday.
The monkeys.
Are you familiar with that statement?
Yes. We did that in school. There were monkeys.
That's talking about us.
Blacks.
That's talking about blacks. In Europe and among white people, this is commonly used. People have said that about me here as well.
True, but not you.
Yes. So I have a whole chapter here in this book talking to white race, the white people, the Europeans. And I'm telling them it's good for Europeans now to be friendly with everybody else. Otherwise, they'll be extinct soon. And in the next few 100 years, only 9% of the world will be white. So you better think right now. The world is not going to be white anymore. Everything that goes around comes around, what do I say? Everything that goes around comes around. It's a boomerang. And there is another thing that I'm dealing with in this book. People say, I don't know if you looked at the video, the discrimination and racism video against me, you will see that those Ukrainians were saying that black people, they don't have intellect and they can only do sports or work in the farm. Yeah. So most of the people, even in America up today, you will discover, and in England, that just breaks my heart. You will discover that even young people, blacks, in England, in America especially, and even in Germany and France, they just send them to go and play football. Or to go and run. Or to go and dance. Just to go and do some silly stuff that are just emotional, that don't require intellect. Because there's a stereotype right now. And you know what? Our parents, our black parents, they buy into that all the time. They are sending their children to go and be playing football or be doing soccer or be doing, sports and things like that. Because they are looking for quick money. But they don't know that even though Europeans, they recognize that they play good sports, but you know what they all normally think? They say, these black people, they are only good in sports because that doesn't require intellect. That's the philosophy. That's the way people say. So in this book, I am proving the science that is behind sports. That sports requires a lot of intellect. So in this book, I'm proving it. That and I'm scientifically proving why sports is only intellectuals that could be successful in sports. So I call the chapter Sport versus Intellect. Then there is another theory. I don't know if you people have seen this. The picture of evolution. This is another thing I'm dealing with in this book. You see the picture of evolution with a monkey, and it's going from monkey to human. But you will see that when it's monkey, all the stages it was a monkey, it was black. Then when it became human, it became white.
Oh my God! Yes.
You see, you know the thing.
Yes.
You never talk about it.
I thought about it.
You never thought about it. It's in all textbooks about evolution. The black people are the ones who are closer to the monkey. So what people are sincerely thinking is that, the white people are the ones who have already matured, evolved, fully evolved. Yeah, but the reason we are black is because we are still evolving. We just came recently out of monkey. And that's why we are closest to that. We are still half monkey and half the human.
Jeez.
So I'm dealing with that in this book. And I'm scientifically proving that picture is wrong. Yes. That picture of evolution is wrong. And it's not just that the picture of evolution is wrong. I'm also proving in this book that to change color in the middle of the game, even if it's the picture. Why should it change color in the middle of the road while it's traveling, evolving? That is just not right. And that is a picture of discrimination. That is, just in case people don't know the picture I'm talking about. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Can you see your brothers? Then when they became human, they became white.
Yeah.
A serious logic. And these are being taught in schools to children who are very young. So that's why the children, even from school, when their mind is not even fully developed, they're already looking at you as inferior to them.
Yeah.
White kids. So that is, and then they went and put all the black guy to look exactly, to be carrying this exactly just like the people are carrying up to now. They're using all the instruments that are, still familiar with the African people, and still, they just, you just get information without even thinking. So I am dissolving that. That's why every black man must have this book. You see a lot of work I'm doing, and sometimes I just think, wow, what is my problem even? It's a good problem. Good? What do you mean good?
It's a brilliant problem to have.
That I'm seeing all kind of problems and I'm addressing them, responding to every situation in life. Because so this is another area, another thing that I was dealing with in this book. Then I was also dealing with the fact that thing they did, that evolution picture, that is wrong. And to prove it wrong, you know what I did? No, I gave a list here in this book of black in scientists and inventors who produce, over 200 of them, who produce most of the things that we use. Most people don't know that black are the ones who produce refrigerators, fridge. Most people don't know that it is black that produce what you use to coat for the children, to carry your children.
Okay.
Coat. What is?
Buggy?
Yeah. That is invented by black people. Most people don't know that it's black people who invented street lights. Green light, red light, street lights, yeah. Most people don't know that it is black that invented, a lot of things that everybody is enjoying today is invented. All these things were invented by black people, and we don't even know about it. And we are saying that they are not, they don't have intelligence. Even cars now are automated, or what do you call it, gear.
Yeah.
That's from black people. A lot of things that you could say, ice cream, things to make ice cream, shears, all kind of things. I have a whole list in this book of the things that blacks are the ones who invented, and nobody talks to you about it. So that's why, because people don't talk about what blacks have invented, that's why they are saying they can only do sports, they don't have intellect. And it's a pity that these black parents, poor parents, they are sending their children only to sports because they are saying that's the only way they could make it. Instead of us to really, develop them and make them to be successful in every sphere of life. So another thing that I'm addressing in this book is called prejudice and monoculturalism in the aspect of wealth and material possession. That a lot of prejudices and stereotypes are connected to class. The haves and the have-nots. So in this book, I'm trying to prove that who told you that to be in the class of the rich is a good thing? That's the argument in this book. That what is worse, so poverty or abundance? We still don't know. Because people, in this book, and this is coming from one of my discussions that I had with some white people here. They say, you are primitive. I say, why? They say, because up to now, you have some people in Africa who walk about without clothes. They are naked. They are primitive. They cannot read. They cannot do anything. They are pygmies. I said, okay, but who told you that is worse than what you have in Europe? Because they are pygmies, they are primitive, but they don't have cancer. They are primitive, they are pygmies, but they don't have sugar diabetes. They don't have clothes, but they are not ashamed. But they don't have clothes, but they don't have pornography. They don't have clothes, but they don't have prostitution. You see the way my mind works. So that's what I'm proving in this book. Who told you that is bad? So don't ever use those parameters to classify people, because everybody is made in the image of God. You have to receive them as does. So that's another area of monoculturalism that I'm addressing here. Because some people would like to be in class, even in their own country, within a country, they create their own monoculture of superior people. I was telling you the other day that some, even though everybody wants to be rich and be among the wealthy people, but they are the people I don't want to ever associate myself with anymore, because I've been too long with too many of them. And what I've discovered is that I've never seen so many unhappy, disillusioned, and depressed people like them. So who told you that is better? I would rather be with normal people who enjoy life. You see, so who told you that is better? See, whenever you begin to, exalt your own culture and your own class above others, that's prejudice. So then I began to talk about the African history. That there was a time Africa ruled the world. So to say that we are inferior and we are this and today is because, let me tell you where we are coming from. And the last shall be first. That's why we're here today. But where you are today is not stationary. The last shall be first, but also the first shall be last one day. Because a day is coming again when Africa will rule the world. So I'm trying to use that as an argument so that people will think. Because when that day comes, you don't want to be, you will not like yourself to be treated the way you are treating us right now. Then also the same thing, I also wrote in this book about the consequences of classifying people by financial status. Because it has its own disadvantages as well. Then I have another chapter here that is dedicated to judging others based on physical attributes. You see my wide nose? Mm-hmm. See my big lips? Mm-hmm. You want to judge me by that? Think I'm inferior? But you come and learn from me. So which is better? To have the mind that Pastor Sunday have, the brain that Pastor Sunday have, but with the big lip and the big nose. But maybe to have the straight nose like yours, smaller, thinner lips, but with empty head. You choose the lips and the nose, but I will still choose the head and the big lip and everything, but I would rather choose the mind. Mm-hmm. Who knows what is better?
I know what's better.
So there is no need. There is no need to think physical attributes alone is enough to use as your own glory, to glory in. So here I'm talking about that, and I'm talking about brown eyes versus blue eyes. If you live in Europe, you know what blue eyes means. Blue eyes is everything. Huh? Or, yeah, blue especially. Blue is the dream. Yeah. But you didn't contribute to that. You didn't contribute to that. I want to see your worth. That is not talking to me about your worth. Or, for example, in the movie industry now, people who have big busts, they are the ones, but you didn't do anything for your big bust. Maybe you put some silicone or something there. But somebody, our own busted in the airplane, so who knows? So you never use physical things to determine value and worth, okay? So I talk more about that. Then there's another chapter in this book you'll find very interesting. It says, plow, right? Plow as a Negro, plow as a Negro, but live like a white man. Plow, you will plow like a Negro, but I will live like a white man. There is a saying like that in Europe here. You don't know about that? Oh, it's all over the world. It's in America too. In America, they say, walk like a Negro, like a black. You walk like a black, but I live like a white man. You know, that is the way, the mentality all over the world. In Africa, that's the way it is. White man just lives. You just see the way he's enjoying. And all the slaves and all the black people are the ones. That's what it means. In the plantation, it's not the white man you see there. So everybody's dream is to live like a white man. But why they have others working for them like a black man? I don't know if you get it. So plow like a Negro and live as a black man. They're saying like that. So here in this book, I'm also talking about that. And it is that same mentality that makes people who went to school in Africa to want to get white-collar job. Have you heard of white-collar job? That's coming from there. They want to go to school so that they will sit in the aircon. They want to live like a white man. So I said, okay, you went to school to sit in the office, but I will walk like a black man, okay? I will walk like a black man. But you know what the result is going to be? Work. Diligence gives me skills. It gives me expertise. By working, I'm adding value to myself. And by working, I'm discovering my worth. And by working, I'm discovering the worth of the earth. And by working, I'm discovering my own wealth. So I'm going to work like a black man, but I'm going to come out of that work as the ruler of the world. But you just want to lie down and rest? It is not the one that rules the world, but the one that knows how. That is the one that rules the world. Because you can have all the wealth, but you don't know how to manage it, how it runs. But the person that knows how to manage it and run it is the one that will rule you, who owns the thing. So you think it's an aspiration to live like a white man while other people work like a Negro? Good for you, but I'm not against working. I'm going to work like a Negro, but I'm going to leave a legacy that is much better and superior. So I'm talking about that because that same mindset has even come to Africa right now. Everybody wants to have white-collar job. That's why you have engineers who don't produce anything because they don't want to go and make their hands dirty. That's the whole concept, like live like a white man. You just want to have the white-collar job, not get your hand dirty. But you cannot invent anything. You cannot do anything. You want to sit in the air conditioner. So I'm talking about the value of work here. That work is no respecter of skin color. Then also here I'm talking about discrimination against foreigners. That so who is better off? Who is better off? Indigenous or foreigners? That we are the same. If you are going to introduce, oh, we are citizens, you are not citizens. Oh, I don't have paper. A lot of people even feel they are inferior because they don't have paper. Well, in this book, I'm proving to you the advantages of immigrants and people who live in other countries or who don't have papers over the citizens. We only have people, about people who have papers and citizens, their advantages. But we never even hear about the advantages of people who don't have papers and who are immigrants. And that's what I'm also addressing in this book. So I'm looking at monoculturalism from, not just from discrimination or culture, kind of, but I'm looking at it from different dimensions. Another mindset that is here in Europe is, if when they want to curse, or they want to laugh at you, they say, "May your daughter marry a black." May your daughter marry a Negro. What does that mean here in Europe? It means she should be lonely because no white man has taken her. And then she's becoming an old spinster. And she's left over, she's depressed, she's miserable because nobody picked her. And she's left over. So the leftovers are taken by the Negroes. That's some of the things that are here in the white society where we live in. Then here, in this book, I'm addressing that as well. I'm saying, okay, you are saying, you are cursing him that the daughter will marry a Negro. Who told you? Let somebody now. I'm telling. Let any white man will dream to marry Pastor Sunday right now. Any white woman will dream to marry Pastor Sunday. Why? They will forget I'm a Negro because I'm successful. So it's past tense when they used to look at Negro as a curse. And I'm saying, who tell you that marrying a black person is like a doom? Because we treat people better. Go and listen to my teachings. When people listen to my teaching, they will know. The people say they don't believe that a human being can teach things like that. Talk less of it coming from a black man. And this is a black man coming up with those teachings of the difference between men and women, how to treat a woman, the psychology of a woman, all those things. That how can a black man know that? You say a black man will treat your daughter better than your own white people will treat her. So these are the things I'm writing about in this book. So I don't know what you people are thinking or what people are thinking, and let me show you them the book again and tell them where they can get it. Will you let them know where they can get it?
Yes, you can purchase this book on Amazon. It's available for pre-order, and it's a fraction of what it would cost once it's available for you to get. So get it now, pre-order on Amazon. And it would also be available on Okada Books. Okay, The Danger of Monoculturalism. Okay, let me read some comments.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Okay.
Do you commend the work, by the way?
Oh, absolutely. Such a much needed book. Much needed. Such a much needed book. I mean, this is something we all have been waiting for, really. It is, I can't even put words to it. I feel like this is, I was working in the corporate world, and I feel like this is the book that is going to help these people who, non-Christians especially, multinational companies who are dealing with this type of problem, so not even aware that this is a problem. I think they need this, and this is going to help them so much. It's going to set them free, really, because I have seen this. I've seen how that ideal of, being better than someone else because you have a white-collar job or all the things that we haven't even thought about initially that are a problem in people's minds. There's so many smart people, especially in the tech world, who are sitting in these offices with air conditioner, day in, day out, just working to have that status that they deem is, superior. Yeah. They want to be accepted. They want to have all the money, the shares from all these companies. They don't even know that this is nothing to aspire to, really, if you put it into perspective. So I love this book. I feel I want to make this my own, and I want to talk about this more because I've experienced that myself, and I know that it's going to set a lot of people free. It's going to help them. It's going to help them to look at themselves also and try to discover their own purposes, you know, because many of these things happen because we don't know who we are. We don't know why we're here. We don't even have the aspiration to find ourselves because we are so comfortable in that monoculture that we have. But when that monoculture dies off, you know, what are you left with? What are you going to do? Because you never spend the time to focus on your destination, your own destiny,
Purpose.
your own purpose. So I really look forward to it.
Yes, and I think also with this book, it would actually deal with the issue of identity crisis.
Yeah.
Because there's identity crisis.
Especially for children who are born in...
Yes, in Europe or in the West.
Second generation. And also the identity crisis now, I think that is more even in Nigeria, for example, where a lot of young people aspiration is to be like the whites or what they see on TV, the Americans, the English people. You know, even in their actions, in their behavior, they've really abandoned who they are and, you know, themselves. They just want to copy and kind of paste. So it would help to deal with identity crisis a lot more, and just know that we're all valuable, we're all important. None is better than the other. So I think it's an interesting book for all to get. Oriyomi says, my people don't patronize market anymore. All you hear now is ShopRite store. Chinwe says, this book will help people see things differently if they pay attention to the contents of the book. The problem is, will they read it because a black man wrote it? Well, that's their loss, really. Chinwe also says, you are a fine, finished, high-class product. Any white woman would jump to the offer if you consider it too. Reverend Rosalind says, legacy is my focus. Paul says, being black doesn't mean stupidity. Oriyomi says, success is blind, not love. Pastor Pierce says, maybe in East Europe. In France, you will go to court for such a racist statement. I am white. My daughter-in-law is black. My son-in-law is métis. Mix. Okay, is that what mix? My future son-in-law is black. Wow, that's a mixed bag. Very good. Ada says, God help us, engineer without invention. Oriyomi says, nobody is making gari in my village anymore. I won't be surprised if we start having China gari instead of Ijebu. Monica is laughing. Wow, interesting, by Nikki. We have lots of people laughing. I think it's something Dr. Sunday says. Mabel Israel says, leaving a legacy. Reverend Rosin is thanking you, DSA. Nikki says, my mom called silicone boobs in parts pure water sachet. God have mercy. Seriously, that's a real me. Reverend Roslyn says, plight like a Negro, and I live like a white person. I think that's your quote. Omodudu, watch your back, oh, we must plan for future. Ucheria says, there's never a boring moment with DSA. Ada says, Lao, physical attributes can be changed quicker than to upgrade the mind. Michael Jackson changed his physical attributes. Yes. Well, that's what the book is about. You don't need to change anything.
Yeah. But it's also a point. Yes, Dr. Sunday is saying that that's what the book is about. You don't need to change anything. But I think she's also making a valid point that if you have a dead brain, this is so much difficult than, you know, a body that you don't like. So you better to choose somebody that have a good brain than a good body. If that's why I understand. Reverend Roslyn says, capitalism is destroying the world now. People would do anything to hurt others as long as it will cough out money or make them rich. Okay. Excellent by Reverend Rosin is saying Africa doesn't have clothes, they have high moral standards. That's Origami saying that. Then we have Wisdom by Reverend Roslyn saying, good one. They are living in self-denial. One ton around. Okay, that's Oriyami saying that. Reverend Roslyn says, thank you. That is the education we need to have to give our children, our generation, sir. So Reverend Roslyn is saying this is the education we need to give our children. DSA, you need to have a DSA education institution. Nurseries, primary school, etc. It's okay. The devil is a liar anyway. The truth will erase this with time. That is why they are denying all black people invention. But I'm seeing so much comments about black. But I think Dr. Sunday is exactly talking against this, that we're just one, black, white, Indian, yellow, whatever. So I think that's exactly what the topic is about. It's not just about black or black to dominate alone. It's about, color shouldn't make any difference. And there's danger in identifying just color as the main source or category that you use to measure somebody. Chinwe is saying, this is why a little Russian white girl took a black girl to wash her off the color in the nursery in the middle of winter. When asked, she said she wanted a friend to be like her. Oh, poor girl. Reverend Rosin says, that is why the systemic conspiracy to continue to manipulate the mind of the most intelligent and God-fearing race in the world. Let them try their luck. We shall win. Okay? Then I call it brainwashing. It hurts me really bad. That's from XD. Change color middle of road. Kimani is quoting Dr. Sunday. Black monkey evolved into white. What a joke. Brainwashing theory. Monkey finished products. That's Chinwe. They're saying that. KB saying that is too funny. Reverend Rosin says, they feed our greed by encouraging our children to study what we will see as a quick fix. Yes, okay. That's with the sports and so dancing and all that. Reverend Roslyn is saying God is neither white nor black. God is pure, neutral, love, and transparent. We could only know him when we learn to be like him. Thank you very much for that. Juan says the truth should be exposed in love and not through hatred and resentment. The word discrimination is a compromise of the truth and the absence of Christ's love. What God hates must also be hated, meaning that if God hates evil and all forms of Satanism, we must never compromise as Christ, but rather contextualize as Christians, but rather contextualize the goal, I think, or the issue. Reverend Rosin says, it breaks my heart when I am around people and the next thing that happens, they start pushing you off the track because you are not Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Edo, or one of them. Yes, that happens a lot. Wow, do you say you are a thinker? That's Bafo that is saying that. Onyinye says the gypsies, yes, from Bafo. Again, Vivian says the people of God that call the church need to change. Yes, Reverend Rosenson, I learned that God defends and protects you when you are not loved. Okay, people are reminded gypsy. Okay, Reverend Rosen says, I am loved and protected by God because of my heart. When I'm attacked, because I'm praised, and because I am priest, and people think here comes one of them. God protects anyone, everyone. My own expectation. I love God. I love humanity, and I love everyone regardless of who they are. Okay. Welcome. Okay. Okay. The comments to each other. All right. My kids have more white friends. I think where you live in Europe also matters, but they have black British and black African friends and really learn from this. That's TY saying that. Mrs. Sharon K says, if you run from people who are different, they will also run from us because they also think we are different. We have, in the end, gained separation. It's true. Reverend Rosen said, that is why people in plenty hate in the world. That is why there is plenty hate in the world. Chinwe says every race has an element of prejudice in them based on what they were taught or their experience. Nonetheless, people of the same race can still behave the same way to you and vice versa, but it is likely not to be seen viewed as prejudice. We need to separate people from unacceptable behavior. That's right, Chinwe, and I think that's for me is the biggest challenge, because the racism or prejudice that you get from the opposite, or maybe white or somebody of different color, it's almost very clear, and you know what the boundaries are. But I don't really understand the racism and prejudice that we get among each other. You know, even prejudice from people that have single parents, and prejudice that are people that come from parents with family. I'm surprised when in church, some parents, some churchgoers were saying that they wouldn't allow their children to marry somebody that has that comes from a single parent's home. That's prejudice of, you know, some order as well. What does that matter? What does that say? So I think, Chinwe, you've raised a very good point there. Thank you. Reverend Roslyn says we cannot win them to God or get them to learn what love is. God will blame the church for all this nonsense. TY says, funny, I have a lot of Muslim friends and don't have this struggle. Mine is calling white folks racist, but I'm the one who has been kind of segregatory. Yes, TY, we all like that. I questioned my teenage children why they have only black friends. The response was depressing because they were being coached wrongly. It's a big issue. Thank you, DSA. That's from Bafo. Reverend Rosen said, very kind and open-minded too. TY saying something to Oriyomi, okay. Church must change too. Christians are guilty of high level of discrimination and very intolerant. We are not judge or lord over anyone. Oriyomi says tribalism in Nigeria is even worse. Or let me say, among Africans. Thank you very much, Oriyomi. TY says, Yabafo, especially cause I felt most white ladies that marry black rich boys who are celebs hurt them crazy divorce and destroy careers so unconsciously. I have warned my son not to bring home no white girl home. Oh, TY. Well. I hope you will read this book. Hello, DSA. Discrimination is huge and deep in the church. Wow, TY. But there is hope for people like me. That's TY. Okay, I'll read this as a final one. I live in Bermondsey for 22 years now, so I have had my own fair share of discrimination, prejudice, painful, hurtful, ungodly, and evil. It creates hate and segregation. Okay, thank you very much, guys. This has been a very interesting, educative moment. I think we should all get this book. We all need it. We need it for healing, and we also need it for our minds, to develop our minds to be the best that we can and enjoy the world that we live in with all the people that are in this world together that God has created. So please get the book. It's already available on Amazon, and also you can get a whole wealth of information from Dr. Sunday's platforms that are on YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official. On Facebook, we have this channel, Dr. Sunday Adelaja, and on the blog, we have sundayadelajablog.com. So we'll be back in 36 minutes. So join us again. We're still talking on the truth. Everything depends on the truth. Even this conversation we had is about the truth, okay? So let's go for it. Come back again in 34 minutes. We'll see you with the discussion or the teaching on truth. So see you later.
Bye.
Bye.